Hey guys, welcome. Now before I begin with the video, please make sure to subscribe and like the video as well. Comment, because I want to know what you think. Do you think the possibilities of what I'm talking about are a possibility? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And also all our socials are in the description below. And thanks for watching. So let's begin with the video. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is only a couple of months away now. And I just wanted to discuss a couple of the possibilities about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But before I go into why I think Excalibur or Thor's hammer are a genuine possibility to appear in the game, I just want to talk about that I'm really happy that we can't kill civilians randomly anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, I did have a lot of fun doing so, I have to admit, in Odyssey, where I was able to just walk around and do whatever I want without any repercussions. Well, there were sort of repercussions because there were bounty hunters that hunted you down if you did dumb things like that, but reasonably without desynchronizing at least, right? Well, now you will desynchronize if you do that shit in Valhalla, which is a good thing, and that's because it's staying true to the Assassin's Creed story. The reason it wasn't included in Odyssey was because that was hundreds of years before the original Assassin, which was in Origins, right? So before the original Assassin Origins took place, so the Assassin's Creed of not harming the innocent kind of didn't exist. Well, because the Order didn't exist. The first assassin didn't even exist. You were a mercenary, an ancestor of the first assassins, but a mercenary. So you can do whatever you like. However, in Valhalla, you are bound to those creeds because you're now at least 1,000 years in the war between the Templars and the Assassins. And that creed exists. So yes, you are a Viking, but just like all the other Assassin's Creed games, you're a Viking second and an Assassin first. And that's why you're not going to be running around killing the innocent. Perfect. Now that we have that out of the way, let's discuss the possibilities of Excalibur and Thor's hammer entering the game. First of all, let's go with Thor's hammer. Yes, I'm not going to even try to pronounce the actual pronunciation of it because I'm going to completely screw it up. So I'm going to call it Thor's hammer for the rest of the video because I feel more comfortable saying that. The reason I think this is going to be in the game is because we have seen pieces of Eden, or basically the weapons or pieces of some sort of significance that have remained from the ancestors before humans, so the people before, and that we call these pieces of Eden. And the Templars and the Assassins have been trying to find these items, which most of the time they use for weaponizing and control for their own specific needs. I have a feeling that we're most likely going to see Thor's hammer be one of these pieces of Eden. I mean, we've seen the Unity sword, and that was, like, obviously it's a sword, it's a weapon. We've seen Demore, who's had it. He was the last known Templar. We've seen it discussed in Heresy that he did possess this sword. We know that Napoleon had it. We know that Arno Dorian had it. We also know that Joan of Arc had it. If you read the book Heresy, you'll find out about that. So we know that that's a very powerful weapon. There's a very good chance that the Vikings also had a very powerful weapon, and that was Thor's hammer. And I have a feeling that that will be the piece of Eden in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I don't think it will be an apple or anything like that again. I'm pretty sure it will be something like Thor's hammer. It makes sense. It just makes sense. We already seen that Odin, or some sort of mythical person, is in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We've seen it in that brief trailer that when Igor's looking out and he says Odin's with us and that guy disappears. I mean, look, it's probably not obviously Odin, it's probably one of the people from before, right? So the ancestors before humans. But they think it's Odin, so there's most likely going to be some sort of supernatural element, which we've seen in both Origins and Odyssey. So I have a feeling that's going to continue into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And that's, again, so if they're going to continue down that path, then if they do introduce Odin, let's just say, screw it, and they introduce Odin, then his son most likely lives. And if his son most likely lives, then his famous weapon most likely lives as well. Which is why I believe that we're going to be seeing Thor's hammer, and it's going to be the Vikings that wield it. However, I also think there's a chance that we might see Excalibur. Yes, we know that the last Knights of the Templar, well, the last Knights of the Templar that were not hidden within the shadows, in Demore, I think it was Demore, I can't remember how to say his name, I think it's Demore, had the Unity Sword, and he hid it, and then Joan of Arc found it, and then she hid it, and then Arno Dorian found it, who then gave it to, or at least it was taken by Napoleon, and we now know that it's in the hands of the Templar in the present, right? Well, where was it before the events of 1312? And that's the question I'm asking, because this is happening in the late 900s. This is 400 years, or 350-ish years before the Knights Templar have this sword. So there was a genuine possibility that this sword is in England, and that the current King of England, Alfred, has this in his possession. And it would make sense because the Vikings were very powerful, and if the Vikings did have Thor's hammer, the English are going to need something equally as powerful to repel these Vikings. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like a Thor's hammer, Excalibur battle, where the Vikings have the Thor's hammer, the Templars have Excalibur. Now, obviously, Excalibur being the Unity Sword and Thor's hammer being another relic from the Pieces of Eden, but still, it would be pretty cool to see both of these in action, and it's not impossible. It is definitely not impossible, because it's taken, this story is happening well before we see the Unity Sword take place in any of the books, in any of the games, in any of the movies, anything. This sword's story starts at about in the 1300s, according to what we've seen, right? So we haven't seen anything from 900, the late 900s. So this could be where it's originated. Well, not originated, but it could be an earlier story of this sword, and that could make a pretty interesting battle if we're going to see two Pieces of Eden like Thor's hammer and Excalibur fight it out. I mean, we have seen two Pieces of Eden in other games. For example, we did see it in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I believe, and Assassin's Creed 2. So it does happen. It doesn't happen in every game, but I have a feeling Valhalla will be the game that does take place, and we will be seeing two mythical weapons like Excalibur and Thor's hammer enter the game. And as I said before, we've seen it. We've seen it in the past. Assassin's Creed have gone towards the mythical, a little bit more towards the mythical side of things, rather than the actual historical side of things in the most recent games. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, they're still a little bit historically accurate-ish, but they have swayed more mythical. So I have a feeling that trend's going to continue, and what better way of carrying that trend out than the weapons of the Viking gods in a game surrounded by Vikings, and then obviously the English, who did repel the Vikings quite a bit, having their own mythical weapon as well. Anyway, I hope you found that video interesting. If you have, please give us a like, comment below. Do you think these weapons are going to be a part of the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla? If not, if so, either way, leave a comment. Also subscribe if that's okay, so you don't miss out on more videos like this. I do post, I think, 4 videos a week. 2 of them, though, are my gaming highlights. By the way, you can follow me on Twitch. I'm live 3 times a week there. Link in the description below, as well as our website, nerdsforlife.com, where we post all these news and spoilers for upcoming games and anime and manga. All of that's in the description below, and thank you for watching.